There's a lot of new aspects to this club that especially we wanted to get into with the bounce, the versatility, and the spin technology that's geared into this club. So let's start with the bounce, because this is the first time that TaylorMade has given a high toe option with different bounces, correct?
Correct. It's a line that we feel really complements our MG line of wedges in a wonderful way. And it's kind of cool that within our franchise, we can offer this versatility of performances outside of the traditional shape of what MG4 recognizes. We have multiple bounces in MG4, but what the bounces do on the Hi-Toe franchise gives us this added versatility to performance, because it complements the shaping of Hi-Toe. Hi-Toe is a different looking type of wedge with the geometry and the full length scoring grooves and also the higher CG properties. That's all designed in combination with these new bounces that don't overlap into MG4, which is the tricky thing about designing sole geometries. Sure. Is making sure that you have separation between all your different bounces for fitting, performance.
Well, one of the cool things I like, I think it's pretty simple, but I think it's really important. The packaging on these is actually going to come with these stickers on the different options. For example, the ATW, I've got a 58-14 bounce. This says this is for steep divots and medium soft conditions. The ATS with 10 bounce, medium divots, all conditions. The ATV with 11. Medium to shallow divots, all conditions. I feel like giving that to the consumer, that probably helps, but can you get into a little bit, let's start with the ATW. What is this made for, and how does this help the golfer?
Yeah, well, great point of trying to describe and explain the bounce story, which is, the biggest mystical thing in the golf business. Yes. Because, there's a lot of education on bounce out there and how sole geometries interact with the ground. And more, every company is doing it better and better, but the consumer still is not getting it.
Yes.
That's the problem. So this at least helps us get the consumer into maybe the right area by describing what does this sole do as they can relate to their own games. Yep. But really, when it comes down to it, you want to get fit for a wedge. You want to have a person that understands sole geometries and then be able to execute a fitting with that. So the ATW, we have 5 different bounce designs in Hi-Toe 4, which is spectacular in like the lob wedges, in the higher lofted wedges. ATW is our all-terrain, that's what AT stands for, wide. Okay. So this is a wide, forgiving sole for guys that maybe are a little bit steeper, soft conditions, and it's a bigger head actually too. Yeah. It's about an 8 to 10% bigger profile, which just allows that confidence factor. When a person puts this down onto the ground, they see a bigger head. You have a wider sole for protection of getting too steep and getting diggy. That's what ATW is all about. Super forgiving.
And then the ATS, we said that one's for medium divots, all conditions. Yeah. Maybe is this middle of the road? Yeah,
so standard, type of sole, that's what ATS stands for. 10 degrees of bounce, very versatile. It kind of can cover a lot of different swing profiles. It's got a beautiful, what we call an exaggerated 4-way camber. So every sole has roundness to it, and the more extreme of that roundness is what the word camber refers to, and that just allows the club to get in and out of the turf very smoothly.
Okay. And last one that we have, I know there are other options that we don't have in this video, but ATV, this one says medium to shallow divots. This is an 11 bounce as well.
So ATV is a wedge that we've had in our lineup, at least from the naming standpoint, for almost 10 years. There is this cult following of players out in the country that just say, hey, bring back that ATV design. Well, it was a wedge at first, and then it became a sole design, and so what we now have is the ATV sole. All-terrain versatility, that's what the V stands for. It's a very unique, what I call asymmetric design, meaning that the bounce is a little bit more out towards the toe, so that you can put the club down into the ground, get your hands up if you need it, and then if you have to hit higher flop shots off of tight lies, all the area down here is shaped to where it really slides under the ball. So it's super versatile wedge, but it's designed for the guy that's fairly shallow into the, it's not for a guy that's super steep. So it's really kind of a one-trick pony right there.
And then, as I mentioned, we don't have them here, but there is the ATX and the ATC as well. Can we go into those two as well just a little bit? What does the ATX give us?
Yeah, the ATX is a brand new design for us that really gives the performance of almost a three-level sole, tri-level sole a little bit, where it has this leading edge protection to where it really gets into the turf without any grab, smoothness, and then it has this center strip of bounce right in the middle that really allows the club to kind of almost perform with higher bounce, but with the versatility of a narrower sole. So it's really a very unique, cool design that, you know, gives a lot of forgiveness, but you can actually get it under tight lies wonderfully, and then it also protects from digging. So it's a wider sole that plays a little bit narrower. Very unique design.
Yeah, that's real interesting. All right, last one, ATC. What does that one give us?
You know, has nothing to do with AT Cesario. No, ATC is really the shaping that we created on the geography of the bounce. It's a low bounce design. It's a very popular shape with the best players in the world, where it's kind of what I call a split sole, where you have this leading edge protection of bounce, but it's very narrow. But then on the back, there's this reverse C, a very unique design that allows the club to kind of play low to the turf. Great for shallow swing styles. Guys that pick the ball very nice, don't want a lot of resistance under the ball, but when you go into the bunker with this, it has these wider areas on the toe and the heel that actually play very nicely out of a bunker for a low bounce design. Okay. So a very unique low bounce type of shaping.
Now, you mentioned the club, the face geometry, and the shape of this. Obviously, with the high toe, you're going to get a different shape. We have literally a high toe.
Yes.
However, I know with the MG4 and the high toe, there is a little bit of a different shape just overall with this club as well, right?
Yeah, the shaping is just something that really kind of comes together in a full package design that allows the Hi-Toe series to have this versatility tag behind it. It has more offset. It has what you call old school more gooseneck in the hosel, and then it has this really rounder leading edge that just allows for the face to open and be manipulated a little bit. So that offset, that rounder leading edge, and then that gooseneck really create this versatility story that is very unique for Hi-Toe.
So now we've got different bounce options, but we mentioned the high toe aspect of these, and this is really for forgiveness. How could you explain to a consumer why a high toe club like this would offer forgiveness?
Well, wedge performance comes down to, one, optimizing proper launch and spin. That's what the tour players work on. They try to understand that if I can get the proper spin rate, which is as high as they can, and launch angles down in the sub 30-degree range, that gives me distance control. Right. Wedges are all about hitting a number, hitting distance. And the high toe design allows the center gravity to go a little higher up in the head, which controls trajectory. Yep. It brings down launch angle. So that's why the CG properties in high toe is slightly different than MG4, is to enable that player to hit a little bit lower trajectory shots with maximum spin.
Which I think a lot of average players, myself included, I hit the ball a little too high.
Correct.
Often. So that center of gravity you mentioned is going to help us keep it a little bit lower, maybe hit better shots. But I think the biggest aspect for someone like me, and I'm being selfish here because I'm really interested in the spin tread technology on here, and we're going to try to get a close-up of the face. I hope that we can get it because you can actually see grooves, diagonal grooves on the face, and it's a raw face just like the MG4.
Yes.
But the spin tread technology, can you go over how that helps with spin and then also in wet conditions as well?
Well, it's all about wet conditions for the most part, and retaining and maximizing your spin rate when the golf ball gets wet, when the turf is wet, playing in the morning, whenever the golf ball is wet, you're going to lose without some kind of treatment, as we have with our laser design on there, almost 50% of your spin from a dry to wet condition. What we now have with the laser treads on a raw face is about a 10 to 15% reduction in spin from dry to wet.
Wow.
So it's huge, and that just gives you control when that golf ball gets wet. You're not going to hit the high knuckle type of ball that just, you know, doesn't have any consistency, doesn't land and stop properly.
Yeah. And with the technology that's on there, and we talk about spin control, is it just for full shots, or can we see that around the green as well?
You can definitely see it the closer you get, because when you start slowing down the ball speed on the little pitches and chips, then that face becomes more interactive with the cover of the golf ball.
Yep.
And you know, you're not going to see dramatic changes on dry conditions between different grooves and different face treatments, but when the minute that golf ball has some moisture on it, then the spin treads just really take over. So those little chips around the green, you'll definitely see a little bit lower trajectory just because your spin friction is higher. The ball stays on the face a little bit better and engages with those laser treads.